Okay, since the last time we met, not a huge amount of progress has happened, to be honest.
Boy,
We haven't met for a month.
we haven't met for a month, I know.
I know, unfortunately. Um, the good thing is the site work is progressing. I don't have an invoice on the materials, or I don't have an invoice on the labor because we've been using Crestas, but it's progressing 10 times faster than how we were doing it. It's amazing. We're hoping to get binder down pretty soon for the main parking lot area. Had the septic tank inspected today. We've passed. We have to run a new circuit to the septic pump because it wasn't engineered, but we're getting it done. We're going to be able to be done with septic. We won't have to mention it ever again pretty soon, which is huge. The lighting bollard bases came in, so a lot of the hardscape stuff is going to be ready to be finished pretty soon. We have a fence company doing the guardrails within, I believe, 2 weeks. We've ordered the PVC fencing per the description. We've modified it. There's some issues with the fencing. We can't completely encapsulate the HVAC farm, so the police lieutenant not going to have a very nice view, but the street side will all be encased. Just the site work is definitely happening, which is great. Inside the building, Signet, who won both the award for the MEC and the town of Norfolk, has been doing a lot of wiring for all the low voltage, security systems, access control, data points, telephones. That's progressing at a great rate. The bulletproofing of the front vestibule has happened. The elevator is 90% done. It just needs permanent power so it can go live, and we need to put a telephone in the building and fire monitoring. We're setting up a meeting with the fire department, police department, the MEC, the general contractor, the electrician, and myself, and Mr. Bullock, if you'd like, to kind of go over the designation of all the areas, to make it so everybody's on board for the fire dressing of the systems, which is a coordination thing we need to deal with. The inside, we have one set of walls up. There's been some issues with not pulling inspections, not following fireproofing, which we've addressed all today at the site meeting between Mr. Bullock, the general contractor, and the architect. It was hammered out what the expectations are. It was re-hammered out because they were issued at the beginning. I think everybody is very clear of what needs to happen at this point. Hopefully they got the message, because we could be further along if they had been following directive. So there's going to be a big push. They're hiring a subcontractor fireproofing company. They're going to have everything inspected before they do work. They're going to hopefully, by week's end, have Bob out there and start getting approval so they can start doing both sides drywall once they get it. There's some major coordination issues still up in the MEC area, which isn't affecting us, but it is for the progress of the building. Basically, the IT room is a major pain on everybody's side. It's if it was only twice as big, we would have no issues, but it's not. So we've had a lot of coordination problems, but we're working through them. I now realistically not thinking that we're going to gain occupancy till January at the earliest. The windows are guaranteed to be shipped tomorrow. There was and I verified it, a major problem with window manufacturers this year, with the economy doing well. Most companies are 18 to 25 weeks out, and we got caught in that. Once that happens, the weather, and also the HVAC is progressing the farms out, so they're hoping to get the piping done so they can start using our heating cooling capacity in that building, because once they put the windows in, it's going to create a very moist environment. We are having contractors show up. We still have to do coordination, but it is moving, just not at the speed it should be. But I'm hoping after today's meeting, they got the picture that Norfolk wants to get this building done. They want to get the building done. They just have to follow procedures, and that's where we're at. We're having issues with a couple of There's a garage heater that it was installed, per drawings. It wasn't installed, it was installed too close to combustibles. There's an argument nobody wants to own the issue, so we're waiting on that. We're gonna have a manufacturer rep come out and try to be the middleman. Again, we need to get,
So installed it, but it doesn't meet the manufacturer's specs.
it
right?
depends on who you talk to. The Apex feels that the garage opener is steel, and the garage door itself is aluminum, and it's not combustible. We feel, and Bob is better at this than I am, the garage door, the paint will get destroyed because it's very hot coming out of a gas flue right on top of it. Also, there's insulation in there that will get distorted. There's grease in the track that will melt and become unlubricated, and it's right on top of the garage door opener, which has an electric motor with copper and coatings in there that could short out, and other electronic pieces that would get cooked. They're stating that it's not combustible. We all agree that it is combustible, so there's an argument going back and forth of that. So we're going to get the manufacturer rep out. And there's also some other questions about some installations of how they were done, means and methods, and we're going to get clarification on. But I wish I had better news. It was going great for a while. It's slowed down. Trying hard to get it going. Working a lot with these two, Gary and Daryl, trying to get the mech, because there are definitely coordination problems and issues we're working through up there. So that's where we're at.
You want to talk about all the coordination up in that room with the Signet and the equipment and the HVAC?
Sure. The new issue, it's been an ongoing issue. Say this properly. I like to equate this to, we have 20 pounds of material in a 2-pound bag, and it's not fitting. It was up to the MEC and the town to get our own vendor for IT, security, and IT and building access. There was preliminary drawings, there were drawings done, but they didn't come to what we actually needed. There was also other problems that, because the tower wasn't part of the scope, there were some specifications for that. So we're trying to make the stuff that wasn't part of the project fit with the project and coordinate it. And everything has footprints it takes up in it, and the footprints don't like to drive with each other. So right now, we're having a big problem with the HVAC in the area. Between the ductwork and the units, it pretty much takes up the entire ceiling space. What's not ceiling space, they have a dry system for the fire sprinkler, which is you need. And the other side, we're putting a rack up for a cable tray up. By doing that and having this not fit, we can't service the HVAC equipment. We're not supposed to blow the HVAC equipment. The discharge air is not supposed to go on the equipment. So we made a modification to have that addressed, and we're going to swap it. After further investigations, it's not going to, having the ductwork there is not working. So I've issued Brian a directive that we need to remove the ductwork and come up with basically filter racks, because we can't access some of the filters because there's no room because of all the equipment in the room. On the return side, and just do like a chicken wire on the exhaust side, on the supply side, and then we have to set it up with the building management system so they don't rat race each other. And this will give us some flexibility in that room that we greatly need. It'd be great if it would all fit in there, but it's not. So we're trying to figure out how to do it so it will. So we're on the drawing 3 now. But so that is an issue. Other issues I think are being worked out, but that's a big stickler right there. But until stuff like this is worked out, it holds up to other progress. So we have to get it all sequential. So it's holding up further progress on certain things and other things not. So we're trying to work on the things that are not being held up. we've asked Bob to see if we can kind of expedite the schedule for the build-out of the mech room, because they have a lot of very specialized pieces of equipment in there. See if we can't have them start building that at a different rate than the rest of the building, so because there's so many pieces that the mech's paying to sit on right now because they were supposed to be installed already. It's causing issues, and it's just the time consuming, and the electrician needs it to be there so he can finish. So we're going to try to move one area of the project at a quicker rate, but they have to come out with a schedule type. Explain to Bob how they want to do that, and that way we can do it. But again, it's not where I wanted to be at, but it's progressing.
Anything to add, Bob?
Just, I mean, the issues with the inspection that Matt was alluding to was just that, they started insulating the walls, interior walls last week, and I had to stop them to say, hey, we haven't done the inspection on this stuff yet, so until we get all these inspections done, you can't continue. So, so far, there's still areas, like you were saying, that Signet's still running wires and, but, as I wrote in my letter to the contractor, that, you can, if you have certain areas that you want to work in, we can do the inspections on those areas so that you can keep moving, but, you can't just blanketly, continue without having all this stuff inspected. And the fire stopping is, I sent another letter based on all that, and I think we're all on the same page now, and it's going to be getting done. So I'm expecting that the project's going to move along a little bit quicker at this point. After we've had this meeting today, I thought we worked everything out so that they understand where I'm coming from. I understand where they're coming from, but I have to do my job just like they have to do their job, and we came to that understanding. And so there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think maybe Brian should speak to about the mechanical room there with with all the equipment in there and the mechanicals being in the way, and how all this is how we got to this point and how we're gonna fix it, because honestly it needs to be, the mechanical engineer has to sign off on this to be able to take all this equipment out of that room, put it somewhere else and duct it into it. Somehow we got to be able to take the heat that's generated in that room from all this equipment and get it out of there. So it's not just removing it and forgetting it. So,
Comment, Brian?
It's a lot of things going in a small room,
Yeah.
and everything's got to get installed according to everybody's requirements and clearances, and we're working on resolving issues, but it seems like when we resolve one, another one shows up. So we will continue to make sure that every installation in there complies with everybody's clearance requirements, code requirements, coverage. So we're still working that through. It's always going to be a challenge to get everything in there, down to where the lights go. And I think we know the parts and pieces. We might have a difference of opinion as to the best way to resolve it, and we're going to continue to work with it. It's one room out of the whole building, though. I think the rest of the building should be proceeding, and as Bob said, there are areas of the building that we can see progress where we don't have to, that one room doesn't have to hold up the whole project. The mechanicals in that room are large, but they're based on redundancy too, so you have more equipment in there than a typical room, because we have twice the mechanicals that we need in that room. Because if some fail, we have backup, which is adding to the space constraints. So when you look up in the ceiling, you look at all of the equipment that's mechanical, you have to remember that half of it is what you need for primary, and the other half that's in there is for redundant backup.
Mike, everything to add?
No, I just heard what was going on. We're on the same page now with the building inspector.
Good. Anybody else have any questions?
When are we gonna get a projection of the financials?
This is what's showing your contract date. So this is where you stand to date for the police department. We have issued change orders 1 through 11, and the total of 1 through 11 is $849,149.47. For the MEC, we issued change orders through number 6, and through number 6, their total is $50,053.21. They have current contract sum with BC Construction at a little over $8.4 million. We started out at $7.5 million. The change order summary for Norfolk Police, you have 3 items that need to have action that we put into a change order. These have not been put into any formal change order yet, so this would be change order 12. We have PCO 43, which dates back some time, and it was to backfill a trench over by the Sally Port, and Matt had authorized BC Construction to backfill that trench. So this was just work that had been done quite a while ago. It's just coming now to a change order. 59 is revisions to the fire alarm, and this was after review from the fire chief. He made some revisions to the fire alarm system, and most of the revisions and most of the cost of the revisions dealt with a fire alarm annunciator, which the fire chief had requested to go into the MEC dispatch center. It was something that we originally had in our drawings, was requested to be taken out of our drawings. The fire chief reviewed it and wanted it back in our drawings, so we made that change. So what we're showing here is only 50% of the value. The other 50% of the value was within MEC change order 5, I believe. So the MEC has already authorized 50% of that. So this is a 50% value to the town. I think that was the way it was understood and agreed, that it would be split.
We had a discussion with the MEC, Gary Primo and Daryl and Jack and myself, and tried to figure out this, and the best solution was the most agreeable was to split it on that.
And then 63 was an item that the town has requested that be done through the electrical contractor for a cell phone repeater.
And that
There's a cost of $24.30 for the Norfolk Police to have a cell phone repeater. You see at the bottom of the sheet, there's a cell phone repeater of $1662.79 that has to be processed still for the MEC to get a cell phone repeater.
just to clarify, those aren't the full amount either. That's just the physical hardware and the physical wiring. We still have to do the hardware, which so I'm assuming that's going to be about another double that. To have that completed, to have the cell phone BDAs completed. We bought all the materials they're doing on T&M,
So another 2,500 for us?
minimal. I would
You
think.
always say minimal.
Well, it might be more.
I don't want to give an under number. There are two other items that, I mean, we can vote on these, but so you guys are aware, I issued Griffin a directive to do wiring for the septic pump on T&M. I'm assuming that's going to be a decent change order because they have to run power through the building, then outside the building, then underground. If I had to put a random number on there, I'd say probably 10. And Signet also needs to have a change order from Griffin to install power so they can plug in all their equipment. We don't have any power provisions in the rooms, in the IT room for them. So I would suggest we do that in T&M too. I've had a big heart-to-heart with Eric Keene from Griffin, and he's playing very nice right now. And I think we're taking, when you do the change order and give a quote, you're doing an unknown, so they factor in the unknown price. Where if we do a T&M, they're being not fair with us. I think it's cheaper to do a T&M. So I've also issued the one for the septic, but we also need, just letting you know, I need to issue for Signet.
So do we need votes tonight for these 3 items? Have a motion?
Move to approve items 43, 59, and 63.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, is there anything else?
Do we have an application for payment?
Yeah, we reviewed with Brian and myself, and Mike Kress reviewed the application for payment for the town. As it sits right now, they're asking for 485, 647, 48. We're going to trim some of it down because there's a couple of vendors that put on higher percentages than we feel comfortable with. But for the sake of voting it, can we vote to approve 485, not to exceed 485, 647, 48? It'll definitely be lower, but I don't know what the exact number is.
This is part of the regular allocation.
Regular allocation does have a continuing, there is continuing general conditions in this number.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
Just to let you guys know, we've ordered some file storage. We've ordered, we're going to be ordering cell phone voter comparators for their, not cell phone, radio voter comparators. They need that for their radios to work at the new location, so they can have clear signal throughout town, and they can compare all the different antennas, and it puts all the data together so it's a clear. So that's going to be around $36,000 that we have to get going. You've probably seen, not really at the building, but you've probably seen utility trucks stringing cable everywhere through town. On 115, they've been doing it the last couple of days, and on 1A, they are running the fiber optic network for the 4 towns, and ours is going up right now. John Carroll and I almost ready to order furniture. We've ordered the fingerprinting machine, intake camera. We've removed one of the refrigerators from the scope of the contract. We're getting a credit back for an evidence storage, so we're going to have to buy an evidence storage refrigerator. We are going to also have to move a wall in the building for the rolling storage to fit. I don't think that's a large cost item, but that's coming up soon. But our flagpoles are in.
Did you explain that to me?
Yes, sir.
Flagpoles are the things that hold the,
No.
I'm thinking American and probably Mass, possibly POW.
Good decision.
talking about the wall for the filing cabinets?
Why they don't fit through the doors?
The units themselves will fit through the doors. There is a
Column.
there's a column that won't allow it to fit properly, so the design won't work for the room that was supposed to be. So
What is this column?
it holds up the second floor.
Steel
It's
beams.
a steel. It's a lolly column type
The
deal.
one that goes straight up and down. You don't need all that.
In the garage area?
Remember the old Sally? Remember when before we did anything to this building, it had that mezzanine level and so it came off about 15, 20 feet, and they had those lolly columns, or it's one of those where you box it in, it's in the way. The dimension, it's
Is
not
that
gonna.
the only way to get them in?
No, we can get them in. That's not the issue. Is we can't assemble them fully. It won't. The clearance is just a little bit off, and it won't fully fit. So we have to spend 90 degrees. So we're going to take a wall that has to be built, take a credit back from that, and add a little onto it and make it so reconfigure the walls in the room and everything will fit, because by that not fitting now moves a couple of other pieces of kit.
That's not,
Got it.
It all,
You wore him down, Matt.
I think you wore me down in August.
I know.
it all affects everything. So we came up with a low class solution. How about that? To a
That's good news.
we try to do that all the time.
yeah,
But
So, again, when will we have an estimate of total costs on this project? Understanding there can be, you know, is it, they say change is a constant. I just didn't know the word order was after change. When are we gonna know?
where do we sit right now? Over.
I know what we're over. Tell
Okay.
me how much longer you think we're gonna know before we know what that final number is. Or close.
I mean, I think we're getting close now. But
All right,
Go ahead.
so, all right, then,
go ahead.
go ahead, Mike.
and look, the site work itself, if everything goes according to plan this week, next week, we could actually be ready for binder. So the bleeding is gonna stop there. Because now we have no more underground issues, right? We're not digging anymore. So I think we'll settle down out in the exterior, I'd say by the end of next week. Until we get all these issues resolved for MEC, and we take care of a couple more wall issues that Matt briefly touched on. And once we start putting it, the other side, and the bleeding starts to slow down there, because everything that's behind the walls is done and over with. That's a curveball, the power to the thing, unfortunately. That no one was expecting that one for the septic. And the only reason is, we probably would have known that a long time ago. But until Matt was able to get the other department in town to release it, we wouldn't have known. So I'd say within the next couple of weeks, if I can get Bob satisfied, and we get it boarded and start plastering, it's, I think we're really gonna settle down on the project. Right now, there was two issues that came up today at our job meeting. Was furniture layouts, the equipment that was bought versus the spaces they're going into. And I think that's what Matt was just trying to get through to everyone on the board. Not knowing what was bought as it relates to the space, and then you have an issue like we just did with the cabinets. And we'll try to work with the town to come up with at least, a cost that everybody can work with to rectify it.
But Jim, the things I'm aware of, we have landscaping with a lot of trees, a lot of shrubs, a lot of costs associated with that. I'm going to assume that's at least 50. We're going to be probably.
Have you talked to Mr. McGee about that?
I have not talked to Mr. McGee about that. Talked to him a little bit about paving.
I'm only asking that because he has some capacity to help there.
I know we're going to.
I think you have a budget number, it's like
Yeah, we had.
37.
I think there is a. Well, no, because the entire site work was supposed to be $300,000. I'm assuming we're going to be between $80,000 and $100,000 for paving. I've written a PO for $22,000 for fence material. That doesn't include any labor, which will be another $25,000 on that.
You don't want to try and put out together the whole, well, Jim's writing down numbers, but
I don't want to nail myself on this, but this is
No,
preliminary.
I'm asking you for a number today. I'm asking you for a date when you might be able to give me
We're
a number.
looking, I mean,
it sounded to me like if we had a meeting in 3 weeks, we could probably come up with a good one, right?
Yes, sir.
According to what I heard from Mike.
You agree?
I think within the next 3 to 4 weeks, you should be comfortable.
We won't be comfortable, but we'll have a final
We're
number.
past comfortable. Because we need to get somewhere in the neighborhood of what this is gonna be, so we can figure out what the next step is for the other project. Statement of the obvious, but
Between labor and the rest of the landscaping and everything, I think we're still about $250,000 from finishing of the exterior of the building. Would be my best guess.
okay.
Well, if you could come up with a number for the next meeting, we'd appreciate it. You know?
Or as close as possible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, you can't get it right to the dollar.
Well, the problem is, like,
Just get us in the
it's all
neighborhood.
volatile.
Just get us in the neighborhood, man. That's all.
I would, yeah, I would,
Well, it depends on when you have on call for the next meeting, too. It's in 2 weeks, then no.
Right.
But- So it would have to be the second meeting.
one thing I didn't factor into that is we have a lot of concrete work we need to do. One thing I've also postponed for the time being is the solar with the project. We have the underground. We're going to fully put that out to a procurement. It's just with everything that's going on with the site right now, I don't plan on putting down the final coat of asphalt. We're just going to put binder down for the winter, let it settle, and it's
Makes sense, yeah.
over the winter time, put it out put a full procurement out because the contractor there is a provision in how it's written for solar, but people are backed out a little bit, so we'll do it all right over the winter time. Once we have the building occupied, we can do it. It's not gonna affect, it'll actually probably be a lot easier, not having to fight more trades in the small area. The wild card in that is how we get the power into the building. We have the undergrounds. But we'll deal with it.
Okay. What's that? Anything else? Well, when should we meet next?
Can you just wait 1 second,
Yep,
George? I
absolutely.
apologize.
Actually, real quick while Jim's adding up, would you guys be opposed to, right now, around the Sallyport doors, there are removable bollards. I'd like to make them permanent bollards, and I'd also like to add bollards. Won't affect anything on the backside of the building where it's all that interlocking material. I'd like to add bollards, permanent bollards,
For the Wednesday?
along the building to protect it from snow plowing, because if somebody damages that side of the building, the whole side has to come off. We have the bollards available.
Add it to your busy schedule.
Exactly.
It's
Circus,
just a
that makes sense.
safety precaution. I have them. I'd like to put them in.
We have them?
I have them.
Why wouldn't you?
They're not in the design. But I think how fragile the siding is, if they hit it with a plow,
Plus on the 10th,
we're
we couldn't plan that.
huge, so we want
Makes
to
sense.
make sure everybody's okay with that. And having removable, I'd rather not have them taken out and have somebody try to get real close with a plow and then damage the building, so I'd like to make them permanent.
Okay. Does everybody agree that we can get in this building by January 1?
No, he said January, not January
He
1.
didn't say January 1.
I assumed 1. When are we getting in this building?
I'm not building it, but you asked me if I was comfortable with that statement. I'm just telling you no.
Fair enough. Mike? You're building it.
If I can move on what the building inspector needs us to do, we've got a lot of advances today. We're looking at about three months for all the finishes.
Well, that's November, December, January.
It's gonna take 3 months for finishes.
Well, no, wait a minute. We still got October.
Sometime in
You have to
January?
get to where the walls are closed, and then the finished contractors can move.
So we're somewhere in the January time cycle.
Yep.
All the materials for all the finishes, they're in our possession.
We have another project to deal with. Okay. Well, we need that number, because until we have that number, we really can't go to step 2.
I'm just nervous because every time we think we have it under control, something else is
Yeah.
found or discovered, and that's where I have a heartburn trying
Why would
to,
you be nervous? That's routine now.
I mean,
No, I don't mean that.
and that's what, I don't want to, I truly, being honest, I don't want to give you a number.
I know.
I don't
And I
wanna-
don't
I
want you
don't
to
wanna
give me
be-
one that doesn't have some sense of reality to it. So, it's okay. I just need to know when, so that we can figure out when to go towards the next step, that's all.
Well, if I feel that I have 250, and I'd say as a buffer, another 250 for other issues, I think we'd be
So
okay.
you think there's another $500,000 out there? You're saying yes, too? I
Can't say
heard a
no.
mumble. I didn't hear.
Can't say no.
I mean, there's items out there that we're gonna have to deal with.
Okay.
So when should we meet again? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
I don't really see any benefit in meeting any sooner than a month, because I'm not gonna be able to give you much of an update. Right now, it's, site work's happening. I don't know what that's costing right yet.
How about the last week in October?
That'll be the 30th, and I think we can have another requisition by that time.
Okay.
Works for me.
The 30th.
That'd be for both site and, are we still gonna meet every 2 weeks?
I would assume we're gonna have another site meeting probably on the 16th.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be available on the 9th.
We have a Board of Selectmen's meeting on that day.
Other than that,
30th?
We're probably gonna be in the same spot.
yeah.
All right, so 4 PM on the 30th?
Okay,
And the next site meeting is gonna be the 16th.
Does that work, Matt? To have a site meeting on the 16th?
We'll do it on the 2nd.
I'm away 2nd and 9th. Well, the 2nd is next week.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
That's
still,
too soon, Bob. I'd rather hear that from Mike and you, and probably Matt too, and then Brian's got in that mix, that you guys all have all of that stuff ironed out that you talked about in today's site meeting. Because it was a great discussion, but now some things have to happen that you agree to, and Mike gets done, and Brian's got to, draw up some sketches that, so that the final plans reflect, any changes. So I think the 2nd's too early, so I'd rather go with the 16th if that's agreeable to anybody else, but. And then Brian's suggestion of the 30th of I think that's the Tuesday, will be the next meeting. And that will be the meeting I would hope to hear a little bit closer on where the budget stands. Because that gives everybody, a lot of people here have a month to start crunching some numbers and figuring out some costs, and then some further projections, I bet you. Mike can probably tell you by October 30th, when we might, what's a real, date, within a couple weeks.
yeah.
So if we can push that out, the 16th and the 30th for the next 2 meetings, that to me makes sense. 2 site meetings and 1
So-
full building meeting.
so I had it on the 9th, so I'll adjust it to the 16th for the site meeting. So if you have one of these, Matt and I'll send out an email to everybody on the list that we've adjusted it to the 16th at
Okay.
2 PM.
So the 30th, we'll have a site meeting, and then we'll have a committee meeting.
Same time, same place, 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All those in
Oh,
favor?
sorry, yeah.
Aye.
Aye, okay, meeting adjourned.
All right, thank you,
Good luck at the
gentlemen.
Lions tournament on